Welcome back to E-Redick the brand. Hi, my name is Eden Middleman, your favorite dating and sex coach. Today we're going to be talking about why no one is actually having good sex. Whether you're in a relationship and you guys have gotten into sort of a routine, or you are dating and you just find that every encounter that you have sexually is we're going to talk about why that might be. Number one, and I've spoken about this, I've done an episode on this, and I think you all need to go listen to it again. It's porn, P-O-R-N. We're going to call it corn. The performance of it all. It is like wrestling, you know? It's like what WWE. It is like fake. It is fake. It is fake. It is not two people encountering one another and making love. The reason why people are so addicted to it is because you can see taboo shit. You can see fucked up shit that you're not supposed to see, that you wouldn't like necessarily want to do with another person, that you wouldn't want to talk about with another person because you're embarrassed. The reason why you feel embarrassed is because a lot of times you should feel embarrassed. I'm not going to be the type that's going to say, oh, it's totally okay to like, no, there's certain things that are absolute no. Certain things that are like low-key illegal. You need to hone in on that and be like, okay, that's fucked up. And the reason why we start going down those rabbit holes and going to different extremes or like getting a little sexually confused is because we are watching things that are set up in a fucking studio. That is not the reality of you going into a bedroom with somebody else. Obviously, we know this, yet we still do it. Porn is a huge addiction. People don't like the word addiction because like, I don't have a problem. Yeah, you do have a problem. We all have problems, okay? Especially with this. You don't even notice that it's an addiction because it's all hush, hush, shush, you know, when no one's around, you and your fucking laptop. If your browser history was leaked, and I always say this, like, would you, low-key, either be in jail or would your employer fire you? Like, would your partner be okay? Like, these are things we want to think about. Masturbation is one thing, but does not necessarily mean that porn has to be involved. With all of that comes a laundry list of reasons why, you know, you're not having good sex in the bedroom. You're comparing. Your self-esteem has plummeted since watching it. You're obsessed with your pee-pee size. For a lot of guys, this has been like the number one topic. I receive several messages all the time about, you know, and I coach some guys that are just like stressed about that. That's all they think about. They're more concerned about their pee-pee than anything else. And where did that come from? A lot of it came from the internet and corn. Problematic. Stop looking at that. Stop listening to a lot of that stuff. Like, put yourself in a bubble when it comes to that. Get in tune with yourself, and trust me, you'll find ways to be creative in the bedroom if that's your goal without this stuff. This is actually just fucking you up and clouding your performance, clouding your mental space within the bedroom, and what you think in the bedroom and how you are mentally and emotionally in the bedroom will translate physically. It's always going to be that way. You're always going to feel like your partner is not doing it for you. Every partner you've ever had is not doing it for you. You're always going to think it's supposed to be like this theatrical movie, and it never really is, because that's not real life. So you're always going to be disappointed if you're going to use corn as a standard or as a jump point or as like a base for what sex should be and how it should look like and feel like and sound like and whatever. And again, there's many more reasons why it is so bad for you. You can go watch, like I said, my episode where I go into detail. You can look at studies done. You can, like, so many people are talking about this. It's not a secret anymore. Lack of connection and familiarity with a person. This is something I always say. The best sex you will ever have will be with somebody that you have had sex with more than just, you know, one night stands. Okay. For you to expect to have good sex from a one night stand is comical. You do not know this person. They do not know you. There is no way in hell it's going to be mind-blowing. And when people go around saying, oh my God, I just had the most mind-blowing, like, one night stand, I'm like, girl or guy, you were under the influence, probably. You hyped it up to make yourself feel better. Sometimes our mind does that. Like, we block out things so that we can cope, right? Same thing with things like this. Things that make us feel uncomfortable, we try and look at like the silver lining of it all, or we try and hype it up so that we don't feel as bad about what was done or guilty about what was done. That could also be a factor. If it was a one-off that was wonderful, you guys could have just had the same sexual connection or style, which does happen from time to time. But the best, like, you want really good sex, it will never come from a one-night stand, okay? It will come from somebody that you have learned both in and outside of the bedroom. I'm not saying that to force you guys into relationships or to make relationships seem more appealing and exciting. Because to be honest with you, a lot of you guys should not be in relationships because a lot of you guys are not ready to show up as a partner in a relationship. So that's not at all my angle. The more I know about somebody and their body and what they like and what they don't like, the better I can be in the bedroom for that partner, and the better they can show up for me in the bedroom. that connection, that familiarity is going to go a long way. And if you feel like every partner you've ever had sex with is just not hitting, have you taken the time to get to know them, and have they taken the time to get to know you? Do you go for somebody who is like not really comfortable in the bedroom, or sex is kind of like a thing that they just seem to be disconnected from or uncomfortable with? Sometimes that is a common theme in a lot of relationships. I see somebody who's like really into sex and somebody who's like really not, and like doesn't really feel connected in that way. There's always going to be a disconnect in the bedroom. It's really interesting how that becomes like a coupling a lot of times. And I think it's because it's alluring to have, two people that are opposite in that way. But if there's no progress or confidence in learning, about what one another likes, or, how to make things comfortable for everybody, and there is no effort, essentially, it's never going to work out. A means to an end, you little host. Using sex just to get off, to the point where it literally could be anybody. That's not something that a self-respecting person would ever do. They're selective of who they bring into their bedroom, guy and girl. I find that this will resonate with a lot more guys, dare I say, although there's a lot of hoey girls out there. I said what I said. I'm going to call it like I see it, who will just go into bed with everybody. And that shit gets old real quick. So even if it's exciting, just because of like the excitement of it all, this new person, at the end, when it comes to post-nut, guys will for sure be like, what the hell did I just do? Ew, go away. Don't really care. Like, regret that kind of low key, but did what I needed to do. Now I don't want to think about it. You'll never have great sex. You'll always feel regret if you're the guy. Girls as well. Sometimes, we also have needs, and we get excited too, and we start to text, and, maybe we had a little martini or two, and suddenly we're like, woo, I want to be frisky and fun and flirty and cool and woo. And then we're like, that was just so not worth it. Or you spend all day like getting ready, shaving your whole body, lotioning. Like, girls do so much for a person that usually is never worth it and won't even make you come. So means to an end thing kind of goes hand in hand with not knowing your sexual partner. They don't know how you like it. They don't know how to get you off. And if you don't know how to get yourself off, you're doing a disservice to yourself. Using sex as a distraction, again, means to an end, kind of goes into that numbing. I think a lot of guys and girls, when you're going through hardships, a breakup, something isn't going well in your life, you use sex to numb, to disassociate, just like you do when you go out and you drink and you do stupid shit. You'll never have good sex because you'll always use sex as a crutch. And what's going to happen is your brain, your body is going to associate sex as a numbing crutch tool thing that you do. Okay. And that is something you don't want to create a pattern or habit with, because it's dangerous. Again, like, who you bring into your bed, like, come on, let's raise the fucking bar here, please. Find another way to cope. There's many healthier alternatives than sex and other stupid shit. And you'll always end up disassociating during sex when you start doing this, because your body's going to learn that this is what sex is used for, because that's what you've been using it for. Okay, girls faking it and guys faking it. I'm going to chalk this up to corn. Where did you girls learn to moan and to make these noises and to make those faces? So if you're watching this on YouTube, I may look different right now, or the camera might be positioned a little bit differently, because while I was recording the other day, we had a bit of an emergency while I was filming that I had to tend to. So I am back to finish this episode. As I was saying, so girls faking it and guys faking it as well. We all seem to be acting nowadays, moaning and fake acting and whatever, giving the other person this false idea that this is what he should be doing, this is great, or this is what she should be doing. I'm enjoying it, right? Moaning is a way of communicating that you're enjoying what they're doing. And so if you're going to fake moan, you can't expect your partner to actually understand what feels good and what doesn't, and understand your body. This is why communicating both in and out of the bedroom is super important. So stop faking it. Okay. This isn't a position where you fake it till you make it, because you won't make it there. You won't make it to where you want to go. Lack of hygiene. This is so disgusting. There has been so many times, like not so many times, but like moments where like back in the day where I was having sex with, a partner, and maybe we weren't planning on it and it was spontaneous. Okay, sure. And like certain things I just didn't feel comfortable doing, because I'm like, I'd rather you shower. You know what I mean? I'd rather we clean down there so that we can go to the lengths that we want to go, or we can explore comfortably and we know everyone's clean and, everything's good. Hygiene. Hygiene does not mean spray your ball sack with cologne, right, ladies? Like, the more you spray shit, the stinkier you are. I think people use that to like conceal BO. Practice hygiene. There are specific soaps that eliminate body odor. Like look into those things if you struggle with that. Look into your diet. Diet really does affect body odor. Your internal health will show on the external, and that is how your body communicates to you. If you are not doing so hot, your diet's not so hot, your body will try and show you that, hey, we need a little help out there. You know what I mean? And that's done through BO, through your skin, through all kinds of things like that. Hygiene, hygiene, hygiene. I've said this in the past episodes, you know, it'll make you 80% better looking if you are clean. You don't have to do anything else. Just be clean, practice hygiene. Your breath should be fresh and clean. You can always tell your partner, 1 second, I'm going to freshen up, and then get back into it. Like, it needs to be done. People like to shower together as like a like sexy way of like, let's get clean before we get nasty. Shower before and after if you want to, like whatever the case is, keep things clean, because that is why people might be like, ooh, you know, around you, or might not want to go to those lengths or whatever. And that's why like one night stands to me is just gross, because like you're a sweaty ball sack and like all of that stuff has been flailing around in the club, and now we have to like waddle home drunk. You stink. You know what I mean? Like, ew. I don't get it. Guys, I really don't get it. I'm just imagining all of these like college kids, and like, you guys are so gross. You guys reek of like beer. Like the guys don't even know how to wash themselves properly. The girls also like some nasty ass, like, I don't know. Ew. Lack of foreplay and afterplay. This is so important, sometimes more so than the act of sex itself, especially for women. You need to master foreplay and you need to master afterplay. Even if, you know, you just want to lay there afterwards and be like, don't touch me, you have to find a way to be respectful to the other partner. I'm sorry. You can't just be like, you get the fuck out. Like, that's just major disrespect. It shows that he's a child. Everyone has free will. So you can kind of be like, okay, I don't feel like I want to cuddle and snuggle and make out, but like, I'll just lay there with her and ask if she wants a glass of water. There's other ways of, you know, being sweet and nice and gentle after the fact, because what you guys just did, although it's been downplayed, it is pretty intimate. It is pretty vulnerable. You guys are both butt naked. Like, act like it. Act like it. Foreplay really builds a girl up, really makes the whole experience. It's like, honestly, packaging does do something for the consumer, right? If the package looks good, which is the foreplay, like, okay, you're building up what is yet to come, the sex of it all. And if you get to the point where she's like, oh my God, really loving it, she's going to love the sex, even if the sex is like basic, which is, again, great and fine. Afterplay will leave a lasting impression on her, right? That will be what she takes home with her. So the before and the after are the make it or break it of sex. And that is why you're not having good sex, because you haven't mastered the foreplay or the afterplay. And that could look different with each partner, as it should. Tailor it to your experience with your partners. And the more information that you know, obviously, the more, you know, you can really tailor the experience. And if you don't know, keep it basic, make out, get them excited to the point where they're like ready to go. It's called consideration. Like, consider the other partner, right? Sex requires more than one person involved, and not just you and your hand, right? This is like a subtopic, part of this list of why a lot of us are just not having good sex anymore. And this is something, unfortunately, we don't have much control over as just individuals. It's just become like a societal thing. And there's too much sex everywhere. I can't explain how angry I get when I'm sitting and watching Netflix or something with my partner, and it's like an evening and I just want to wind down from the day and I just want to watch something cute and fun and easy and whatever, and there's always a literal butt naked man and a girl with her tits out. I don't want to see porn when I'm watching Netflix. I don't want to see porn when I'm watching TV. I do not want to see porn when I'm going into a movie theater. I am not searching porn on Google. So why am I getting porn being pushed onto me? Why am I scrolling on TikTok or Instagram and seeing like soft porn everywhere, basically? Twitter. What the fuck is this? There is just too much of this everywhere, and that is why we're so desensitized to it, and that is why sex is not what it's meant to be. And I'm not romanticizing sex whatsoever, because at the end of the day, it is overhyped. It's been overhyped, but now we're so desensitized to it that nothing feels special anymore. Nothing feels like wow anymore. It's just an act that we do now. Now it's almost like whatever, a chore. Like, that's fucked up. That's sad because that fucks up so many other young, malleable minds who are like, oh, I guess this is normal. And I guess I'm supposed to be doing it often. And I guess like it's not a big deal. It is a big deal. It is. And you should take it as such in the sense that you're not just going to sleep with everybody. You're not just going to bring them home. It's not something that should be normalized. It's something we should be talking about in an educated way. And that's why so many of us are fucked up. It is so disturbing. Something that is so intimate is not meant to be watched by millions of eyes. It is something that is supposed to be experienced between a person and another person, and that is it. We have like, it's just, again, I'm not trying to like come at it in any type of way besides this is another reason why we're not having good sex, because we are watching things, we're thinking that's how it's supposed to look and feel like they make it a big deal. There's lighting, there's the perfect bodies, there's all this stuff that's like fucking us up and causing all kinds of self-esteem issues, and just even outside of that, like our expectations. Like what, you know, like sexualizing like work environments, sexualizing like hospitals, sexualizing like just fucked up shit. And that leads me into another point, is just like insecurities in the bedroom, because of all these reasons and personal ones, whether that be trauma or like past experiences, or, you know, you're new to this and you're not sure and the other person is unaware, and like you're not like all of this is, you know, different puzzle pieces that make up this big puzzle as to why we're not having great sex anymore. And so it is important to know like where your limitations are, what those look like, what are your boundaries, what is bothering you, what makes you feel uncomfortable about the topic of sex, why do you feel uncomfortable, where's that coming from? A lot of people need therapy. A lot of people have been scarred or traumatized and they don't even know it, which is unfortunate and horrible. And I don't wish that upon anyone. I went through something, unfortunately, with one of my partners, and for me to have sex again normally and not be triggered was very, very hard, and that required therapy. You also have to keep this in the back of your mind because another partner might also be going through something like this, and they may or may not feel comfortable speaking to you about it, but just know that everybody has come from their own journey, their own lives, and it's not just me and how I feel, it's how your partner is doing with these, you know, sexual experiences as well. This also leads me into kinks and like things that you want to try and experiment. You have to make sure that your partner is at that same level and open to experimenting. They might not be as creative as you, but this all warrants a conversation. Without a conversation, you are not allowed to be doing this or springing it onto somebody in their most vulnerable state, because a lot of people make decisions when, you know, they are horny or butt naked or insecure or feel vulnerable. They'll just agree to something that they might need time to think about, that they might not really want to agree on, that they might regret later. And that is the worst position you can put anybody in, let alone yourself. And so just being a mother to you all, this is why if you want to get to like great sex, if you want to try new things, if you want to like do those things, you really have to find somebody that you can feel comfortable discussing this with and being open about these things with. And also that is why a lot of relationships I see struggle. If you can't communicate about sex, that is a huge aspect of a relationship that can make or break it sometimes. And that doesn't mean that you have to do everything that your partner is asking you to do. Everything is within reason, you know, but you can talk about things if you want to spice things up, or if you want to try something, or, you know, it should be something that you're both comfortable discussing. It should be just like, you know, what are we eating this week? Like, let's meal plan, and like, how are we fucking this week? Like, you should be able to have an adult conversation and talk things out and be like, hey, listen, you know, I noticed that you feel uncomfortable. Is there something that you don't like? Like, honestly, open to it. You both have to be okay with getting feedback, with, you know, knowing your limits and boundaries. And again, like knowing what is maybe just like a fantasy and like keeping it there and being okay with that. When we start climbing the ladder of, you know, kinks and fantasies and things like that, we get into kind of scary territory sometimes where we don't know our limits and we keep wanting more, and that's greed. Always bring it back down to basic sex and try and be okay with basic sex before you add anything to the plate. That should always be your default, because when you have the, you know, a good foundation, then you can build off of it, right? If you are distracted, or if you're rushing, or if you're just like trying to get it in quick, nobody's going to enjoy that. It's, again, means to an ends kind of vibe, but also like distracted mentally. If you are not in a place where you're like ready to really be in the moment and be present, sex will never be good. That is what a lot of us are struggling with, because it's really hard to be present just in general in day-to-day life, with all the things we're bombarded with, all the things we're thinking about, the future. We're all kind of just like hustling, rushing. Sex is one of those things where it can be really good. And the reason why people talk about really good sex and like make it seem like an amazing thing is because it is like a moment to really be present and to pause and to really indulge in that moment. That is like one of the top tiers of like great sex, is like being able to fully be present in that moment and explore one another. A lot of people aren't able to do that. And that's kind of like, I want to say like pro level. Emotional availability. So if there's like resentment outside of the bedroom when it comes to like your relationship with this person or the past, or you know, like just residual emotions and feelings or things that haven't been dealt with, whether the other person knows it or not, that can really create a blockade, because intimacy is not just like the physical act of sex. Obviously, there's a layer of feelings and emotion to it. And doesn't mean, oh, I love you, but there is like, this is the person I'm connecting with. This is the person I'm having sex with. And knowing that our body can sometimes shut down a part of us or take us away from being present because we're preoccupied or concerned or have our reservations about this person because of past things or things we've heard about, or like I said, residual, you know, unresolved feelings and emotions. So deal with your shit if you want to have good sex. You know, sometimes people say like in relationships, angry sex is the best sex. If that's like makeup sex to you and you guys are willing to put things away and you just have this energy pent up and you both are down to do this, then okay, like, you know, sometimes that's needed and sometimes that's okay. But if there is like, you know, a snowball effect of feelings, emotions, things that we haven't dealt with, and your partner wants to have sex and you feel like, oh, I'm going to have sex with them because I also want to have sex, but also I'm kind of annoyed with them, it's not going to be good sex. Like, we've all been there. You know, our bodies, when we feel resentment or tension, our bodies don't feel safe. So we don't respond well to, you know, like sharing ourselves in a physical way. Last but not least, the reason why you're probably not having good sex is because you're too heavily focused on what to do in the bedroom. You're too heavily focused on trying to please the other person, that you're not focused on yourself. And again, there has to be a healthy balance here, because you do have to factor in your partner, but also you cannot be primarily focused on them, you know? And like, this translates to like guys that we've slept with or girls that we've slept with. They're like, did you like that? Is that good? Do you feel good? Do you want that? Like, just constantly needing reassurance, which makes the moment just not a moment anymore, right? It's insecurity kind of coming out, and it's just not hot, not cute. You're too heavily focused on different positions. Again, probably from your porn addiction, from things you've heard, things you've seen. If you're watching too many YouTube videos, listening to too many podcasts about how to please somebody in bed, you're going to create this checklist in your head that every time, you know, you end up in these situations, you're going to try and like go through this checklist and try different things. And it's going to feel like a chore almost. That's why being present is so important, because when you're present, you're just going with the moment. You're not sitting there thinking about what did that girl say on the podcast? What did she say about having good sex? How do I do that? You can educate yourself. Don't take everything so literally and so harshly that you need to, you know, go in there with a checklist and go in there with like a to do and to not do list. It's going to feel just not real, not organic, not natural. The best sex that you'll ever have is going to be something that it feels just so natural, that your bodies are just doing the talking, doing all of that. Everything feels good. You guys are comfortable with each other. You know the other partner, they know you, and it flows nicely. What's not going to work out is, again, being like, what do I do? And not actually be able to enjoy the things that are happening, right? Or taking your other partner's cues because you're too in your head about it. I hope this helped. I hope this gave you some things to think about, some things to tweak, maybe some things to stop. Thank you for being here, for listening, and for watching. If you're watching the YouTube, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit the bell for the notifications so you don't miss when I post next. And for those listening to the podcast, you guys already know what to do. 5 large and in charge stars. Rate the podcast, follow it, share it with your friends and your partner. Maybe discuss this topic. Let's talk about it together. Share any of your tips and tricks in the comments as well to help anybody else watching this or listening to this. Thank you guys for being here, and I will see you back here very soon. Bye.